Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. In a world where people chase wealth, fame, and success, have you ever wondered what is your greatest power? Is it your talent? Is it your money? Is it your intelligence? Or is it something much deeper? Today, I invite you to take a journey with me, not just to discover what your greatest power is, but to learn how to use it every single day of your life. Because the truth is, the greatest power you hold is not outside of you, it's right here within you. The greatest power lies within us, but very often we forget this simple truth. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded by messages that tell us power is something outside of us. Society makes us believe that power is about how much money we have in our bank accounts, how many people know our names, how many titles are attached to our positions, or how much influence we can exert over others. But have you ever noticed that despite having all of these things, some people still feel powerless, empty, and dissatisfied? The reason is that external power is temporary. It can be taken away by circumstances, by failures by other people, or simply by the passing of time. True power is not about control over the external, it is about mastery of the internal. The greatest power does not lie in the strength of your arms or in the size of your empire. It lies in the strength of your heart, your character, and your consciousness. Think about it. When a person loses their job, they may lose their title, but if they still carry confidence and resilience within, they have not lost their power. When someone faces criticism, they may lose the approval of people, but if they know their worth inside, they remain unshaken. The world can strip away your possessions, but no one can steal the way you think, the way you choose to act, or the way you decide to see life. That is why spiritual teachers remind us again and again real power comes from within. If you look at history, the most powerful people were not always the ones with armies or riches. They were those who had inner strength. People like Mahatma Gandhi, who had no weapons, yet moved an entire nation with his conviction. That is inner power. When you are connected to the source of strength inside you, when you realize that peace, joy, love, and clarity are already within you, then you no longer become a slave to situations. You become the master of how you will live through them. This kind of power doesn't scream or boast. It flows quietly, steadily, like a river that nourishes everything it touches. This is why discovering the greatest power within yourself is the most important journey of your life. You don't need to search the whole world for it. You don't need approval or applause to confirm it. It is already there, waiting for you to recognize it. The question is not whether you have power, the question is, are you aware of it? Are you cultivating it? And are you using it to live a meaningful life? Because the moment you understand that your greatest power lies within, you will stop being controlled by the outside world and start influencing it from the inside out. That is when life truly begins to transform. The power of attitude is one of the most underestimated yet life-changing forces we carry within ourselves. Every day, situations happen around us that are beyond our control. Someone speaks harshly, a plan falls apart, money is lost, or health is challenged. We may not always be able to stop those external circumstances, but what we always carry with us is the ability to decide how we will look at them, how we will interpret them, and how we will respond to them, that ability, that choice, is what we call attitude. It is not just a mood, it is a lens. Two people can look at the exact same event and walk away with completely different experiences simply because one chose the lens of positivity, hope, and growth, while the other chose the lens of negativity, complaint, and despair. When we cultivate the right attitude, difficulties don't disappear, but they appear smaller, more manageable, and less frightening. The mountain in front of us may remain tall, but with a strong attitude, we no longer see it as a dead end. We see it as a climb, a challenge, an opportunity to strengthen our muscles and test our determination. Without the right attitude, even the smallest hurdle can look like an impossible obstacle. It is like carrying a torch in a dark cave. Your attitude becomes that torch. With it, you may still be in darkness, but you can see where you are going. Without it, you stumble and fall, even if the path is not that difficult. Look around in life, and you will find endless examples of how attitude changes everything. Two students may fail an exam. One sits in despair and says, "I am worthless, I can never do this," while the other says, "This was a lesson. Now I know what not to do, and I will prepare better next time." The failure was the same, but the future that opens up for them will be completely different, all because of their attitude. Or consider how some people, even in poverty or sickness, manage to smile, serve, and inspire others. They may lack resources, but their inner wealth is enormous because they chose not to be victims of life, but warriors of life. Your attitude not only shapes your own experience, but also influences everyone around you. When you walk into a room with negativity, you drain others. When you walk in with positivity, you uplift them. Leaders are not followed because they have perfect strategies or flawless skills. They are followed because their attitude radiates courage, calmness, and confidence even in chaos. Parents pass on not just their instructions to children, but their attitudes. Children learn resilience, optimism, or hopelessness depending on what they see modeled before them. That is how powerful attitude is. It doesn't just affect you, it creates ripples that touch countless lives. The beauty of attitude is that it is always in your control. You may not control people, weather, economy, or destiny, but you can control your perspective. Life can hand you storms, but attitude decides whether you will build walls to hide or windmills to generate energy. Every situation, big or small, asks you this silent question: what attitude will you choose? And every answer you give shapes the quality of your life. When you learn to choose gratitude over complaint, learning over failure, courage over fear, and hope over despair, you discover that attitude is not just a reaction, it is your greatest creative power. It is the power to design how you experience every single moment of your existence. The power of gratitude is perhaps one of the most transformative forces in the human heart, and yet it is one of the most ignored. Most people live their lives with their eyes fixed on what they do not have, what is missing, or what is still yet to come. Their minds are restless, always chasing after the next possession, the next achievement, the next recognition. In that chase, they often overlook the countless blessings that are already present, quietly enriching their lives every single day. Gratitude is the ability to pause, to notice, and to appreciate those blessings. It is not just saying thank you with words. It is cultivating a mindset that sees life itself as a gift. When gratitude becomes your way of looking at the world, everything shifts. The same house that once looked too small suddenly feels warm and sufficient. The same meal that seemed ordinary now tastes like abundance. The same people you may have taken for granted, your parents, your friends, your mentors, suddenly appear as treasures that you have been blessed with. Gratitude does not change the circumstances outside, it changes the vision inside. And that inner vision makes even little things glow with joy. A poor person with gratitude can feel richer than a millionaire who is constantly comparing and complaining. Gratitude is also a healer. Many times our minds get trapped in stress, anxiety, and disappointment. We keep repeating what went wrong, who hurt us, or what didn't go as planned. In such moments, gratitude acts like medicine for the soul. The moment you begin to count your blessings, you shift your focus from wounds to wonders. You may not erase the pain instantly, but you give yourself the strength to endure it, because you remind your heart that life is not only about what is broken, it is also about what is beautiful. Scientific studies even show that gratitude improves mental health, reduces depression, and increases resilience. It proves that being thankful is not just good manners, it is a survival tool. Think about it. When was the last time you truly paused and reflected on what you already have? The air you breathe, the eyes with which you see, the hands with which you work, the mind with which you think, these are miracles in themselves. Yet we often overlook them in pursuit of something grander. Gratitude teaches us to slow down and say, I may not have everything I desire, but I already have more than I deserve. That humility brings peace, because you are no longer enslaved by endless desires. Gratitude also deepens relationships. A word of sincere appreciation can heal more wounds than years of silence. When you thank someone, you do not just acknowledge their action, you affirm their value. Parents who feel appreciated love deeper. Friends who feel valued stay loyal. And colleagues who are recognized work with greater joy. Gratitude builds bridges where ego builds walls. It strengthens human connections by reminding us that no blessing in our lives is too small to be acknowledged. Even in the most difficult times, gratitude becomes a light. Imagine someone lying in a hospital bed. They may not be able to move, yet they are thankful for breath, for a visitor's smile, for another day to live. That attitude not only gives them courage, it inspires everyone around them. Life will never be free of problems, but gratitude ensures life is never free of joy either. It reminds us that while we wait for the big miracles, we must not ignore the small ones that are happening every moment. The greatest truth about gratitude is that it is not dependent on abundance. It is the reason abundance is experienced. You may have little, but when you are grateful, you feel rich. You may have much, but without gratitude, you feel poor. Gratitude is the key that turns whatever you have into enough, and enough into joy. It is the quiet power that allows you to live not in constant restlessness, but in deep contentment. And that contentment is the foundation of real happiness. The power of self-control is one of the noblest and rarest strengths a human being can cultivate. Most of the battles we face in life are not outside of us, but inside of us. People think strength is shown when you can defeat an opponent, win an argument, or dominate a situation, but real strength is demonstrated when you can conquer yourself, your impulses, your anger, your cravings, and your emotions. Without self control, intelligence can become destructive, talent can be wasted, and relationships can be broken in a single moment of weakness. With self control, even the most challenging situations can be navigated with grace, patience, and wisdom. We live in a world that constantly tempts us to react instantly. Someone insults you, and your first urge is to fire back. A desire arises, and you want to fulfill it immediately. Stress builds up, and you want to numb it with distractions. This is the age of instant gratification, where patience is considered outdated and self restraint is seen as unnecessary. Yet, if you look carefully, most regrets in life come from moments when self control was abandoned. Words spoken in anger cannot be unsaid, decisions made in haste cannot always be reversed, and indulgences given into without thought often leave behind guilt, emptiness, or pain. Self control is not about suppression, it is about mastery. It does not mean you never feel anger, never feel temptation, or never feel fear. It means you do not let those emotions control your choices. You may feel the fire of anger, but you decide not to let it burn someone else. You may feel the pull of temptation, but you pause to consider the long-term consequences before surrendering. You may feel overwhelmed by fear, but you choose to act with courage despite it. That is the beauty of self-control. It does not deny your humanity, it elevates it. Consider the difference between a wild horse and a trained one. The wild horse may have strength and speed, but without control it is dangerous to itself and to others. The trained horse, on the other hand, uses the same strength but channels it in a purposeful way. Our minds and emotions are like that horse. Without self-control, they run wild and create chaos. With self-control, they become tools that serve us and others. Self-control also creates freedom. People often think discipline is a restriction, but in reality, it is the path to freedom. A person who cannot control their anger becomes a slave to their temper. A person who cannot control their desires becomes a slave to their cravings. A person who cannot control their distractions becomes a slave to procrastination. True freedom is not doing whatever you feel like in the moment. True freedom is having mastery over yourself so that you are not enslaved by passing impulses. History and spirituality are full of examples where self-control defined greatness. A leader who could control their ego earned loyalty, while one who gave into arrogance lost everything. A monk who could control his senses reached deep peace, while one who lived without restraint remained restless. Even in our daily lives, we admire people who stay calm under pressure, who don't lose themselves in anger, who can say no when temptation says, just once won't hurt. Such people radiate strength because they have won the hardest battle, the battle with themselves. The power of self-control is also the foundation of trust. When others know you are not impulsive, when they see that you do not lash out recklessly, when they experience your patience and restraint, they feel safe around you. They know they can rely on you because you are not driven by sudden emotions, but guided by wisdom. This trust strengthens relationships, careers, and communities. In the end, the power of self-control is not about perfection but progress. No one has perfect control all the time. But every time you pause before reacting, Every time you choose patience over anger, every time you hold back from something harmful, you grow stronger. With each victory over yourself, you become more centered, more peaceful, and more powerful, because true power is not measured by how much you control others. It is measured by how well you control yourself. The power of forgiveness is one of the most liberating, yet one of the most difficult virtues to practice. Every single one of us, at some point in life, has been wronged, betrayed, misunderstood, or hurt by someone we trusted. The natural instinct of the human mind is to hold on to that pain, to replay the memory, to seek revenge, or to wish for justice in the form of someone else's suffering. We think that by holding on to the hurt, we are protecting ourselves, but in reality, we are chaining ourselves to the very thing that wounded us. Forgiveness is not about approving what was done, nor is it about forgetting it. It is about releasing ourselves from the poison of bitterness and reclaiming our peace of mind. When you hold on to anger and resentment, it is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The truth is, most of the time, the one who hurt you may not even be thinking about it anymore. They may have moved on. They may not feel the weight of what they did. But you remain trapped in the prison of your own thoughts, revisiting the pain again and again. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison. It does not erase the past, but it changes how the past affects your present. People often think that forgiveness is a gift to the offender, but in reality, forgiveness is a gift to yourself. By forgiving, you are saying, I will not allow what you did to me to control me anymore. You take back your power from the hands of those who hurt you. You choose freedom over bondage. Forgiveness does not mean you need to invite the person back into your life or trust them the same way again. It means you no longer carry hatred in your heart. You no longer allow their actions to steal your peace. The most powerful people in history have been those who practiced forgiveness, even when they had every reason to hate. Think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison, yet when he walked free, he chose not to be consumed by vengeance, but to work toward reconciliation. That is true strength. Anyone can hate. It takes courage to forgive. Gandhi once said, "The weak can never forgive." Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Indeed, forgiveness requires more strength than revenge ever could. Forgiveness also heals relationships. Families break apart, friendships dissolve, and communities suffer because no one is willing to forgive. Ego holds people back, pride whispers, "Don't give in, don't let them win," and so we stay locked in battles that drain us. But when one person chooses to forgive, they create a bridge where there was once a wall. That bridge may or may not restore the relationship, but it always restores peace in the heart of the one who forgives. Forgiveness also brings immense spiritual growth. Almost every tradition in the world teaches it because it purifies the heart. A heart filled with resentment cannot experience true love, true joy, or true peace. Forgiveness is like clearing away weeds so that flowers can grow. It makes space for compassion, for kindness, and for wisdom. When you forgive, you rise above being a victim and become a victor. Not because the wrong never happened, but because it no longer defines you. Of course, forgiveness is not always easy. Some wounds are deep, and some betrayals cut into the soul. In such cases, Forgiveness may be a process, not a one-time act. It may take time, prayer, reflection, and conscious effort. Sometimes you may feel that you have forgiven, only to find the pain resurface again. That is normal. Forgiveness is not a switch, it is a journey. But every step you take toward it, every attempt you make, brings more healing to your soul. Ultimately, forgiveness is not about them, it is about you. It is about choosing peace over pain, freedom over bondage, love over hatred. It is about refusing to let your heart remain a battlefield. The greatest victory you can achieve is not conquering others, but conquering the bitterness within yourself. And that victory is found in forgiveness. The power of kindness is one of the most underestimated forces in the world. Yet it carries the ability to heal wounds, bridge divides, and inspire hope where there is none. People often think that power lies in being dominant, being loud, or being influential on a grand scale. But the truth is that some of the most powerful moments in human history were not created by weapons or wealth, but by simple acts of kindness. A kind word spoken at the right time can rescue someone from despair. A gentle smile can remind a stranger that they are not invisible. A helping hand can restore faith in humanity. These actions may appear small, but their impact can ripple across lives in ways we may never fully comprehend. Kindness has the extraordinary power to change atmospheres. Walk into a room filled with anger or tension and offer genuine kindness, and you will notice the shift. Where arguments once flared, silence softens. Where suspicion once lived, trust begins to bloom. People may forget your achievements or your possessions, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Every act of kindness leaves an invisible mark on the heart, one that may inspire another act of kindness in return. In this way, kindness spreads silently like sunlight. It warms everything it touches without asking for anything in return. What makes kindness so powerful is that it requires no special qualification, no wealth, no extraordinary position. Anyone can practice it. A child can be kind, an elderly person can be kind, a stranger can be kind, and in every case, it has value. Kindness is the language that transcends culture, status, and circumstance. A kind gesture does not need translation, it is universally understood. You may not speak the same language as someone, but when you extend kindness, their heart immediately understands. There is also a hidden strength in kindness that many people overlook. Some people mistake kindness for weakness, thinking that kind people are easy to take advantage of, or that kindness makes you soft. In reality, kindness requires tremendous strength. It takes strength to respond with gentleness when you have been treated harshly. It takes strength to give when you could choose to hold back. It takes strength to see the humanity in someone who may have hurt you. To be cruel or harsh is easy. It requires no effort to lash out or to be indifferent. But to be kind consistently and sincerely is the mark of someone who has cultivated great inner strength. Kindness also has the power to heal, not just others but ourselves. When we are kind, our own hearts feel lighter. Studies show that practicing kindness reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and increases happiness. Spiritually, kindness purifies the heart because it shifts our focus from self-centeredness to selflessness. When we extend kindness, we connect with something higher than ourselves. We align with the truth that we are not here just to take from life, but to give to it. And often, in the process of being kind, we receive more than we gave, more joy, more connection, more meaning. The impact of kindness often goes far beyond what we can see. You may hold the door open for someone and think nothing of it, but that small act may remind them that there is still goodness in the world. You may comfort a friend in silence, and that moment of compassion may give them the strength to carry on one more day. You may donate a small amount to someone in need, and that act may inspire them to help others when they are able. Kindness multiplies because it inspires others to be kind, creating a chain reaction that extends far beyond what you intended. In times of conflict, kindness has the power to disarm. It softens hardened hearts, it breaks the cycle of hatred, and it brings people closer together. Wars may be fought with weapons, but peace is built with kindness. Relationships may be tested by misunderstandings, but they are healed with kindness. Communities may be divided by differences, but they are united with kindness. The greatest revolutions in history were not just political, but moral, and at their heart was the principle of kindness. Ultimately, kindness is not about the size of the act, but the sincerity behind it. You do not need to perform grand gestures to be powerful in kindness. Sometimes, just listening to someone, just showing patience, just offering respect is enough to transform a life. The world does not need more brilliance without compassion. It needs more ordinary people willing to do extraordinary things through simple kindness. And the beautiful truth is this: the more kindness you give away, the more powerful you become, because you are shaping a world where love triumphs over hate and where light triumphs over darkness.